This video is based on the technical analysis of Sasol, and as you guys can see at this point in time we find ourselves on the monthly chart. And one of the first questions that I would ask myself in regards to Sasol is now actually a good time to consider buying Sasol? And I would say at this point in time the answer to that question is a big no, and I'm going to give reasons as to why I say at this point it's not a good idea to actually consider buying Sasol, in my very humble opinion. And so guys, let's get straight into the actual analysis. And based on the monthly chart, we can see that the market had given us this huge double top over here, or rather double bottom. It's actually an overextended double bottom where we have the first leg being much lower than that second leg, excuse me. And it also has a neckline more or less at that point. And you guys know that whenever we have these patterns, we want to see ideally price closing above that neckline, in the future coming back to the neckline to just give it a test. And where we have that neckline is where we would look for potential buy opportunities, especially if the neckline aligns with any key numbers that we have in regards to the Fibonacci retracement tool, right? So that's a plus or a positive in as far as looking for potential buy opportunities goes. However, we need more reasons, right, over and above price, coming back to the neckline, which is now also a very strong level of support, as well as the neckline also aligning with a key number in regards to the Fibonacci retracement tool, right? Remember also that the market at this point in time is in a downward trend or a downward trajectory, and we can see that it has been moving down. And in order for us to start looking for potential buy opportunities, we need to see a change in the trend where we start to see price actually, start to move up, where it creates what we would call, this would be a low, this would be a high, and this would be a higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, right? So we need to see this type of patterns forming or developing before we actually consider buying this particular share, right? So what else do we see in regards to the chart of Sasol? Another thing that I see that is also very much important is that the market had given us this pattern over here, which is a head and shoulders pattern. As you guys can see, this would be the left shoulder, this would be the head, and this area over here would be the right hand shoulder, and it has a neckline at that point, right? And just like with W structures or right double bottoms, we want to see price closing sufficiently below the neckline, head up to the neckline to test it, and at that point is where we look for further sell opportunities again. And that's if the neckline aligns with any key numbers that we have in regards to the Fibonacci retracement tool, right? So we can see over here that price closed sufficiently below the neckline. However, we're yet to see it come back to the neckline to give it a test, right? So we may see price coming back to this area to test it, which is a very strong level of resistance, as well as the neckline of this pattern over here, which is a head and shoulders pattern, and we may see the market from this level move further down. And remember guys, this pattern started more or less here, price went up, gave us this pattern, and we may see it push further down to close more or less in line with where it had started, as well as to complete that structure. So those are some of the reasons why I say at this point it's actually not a good idea to consider buying this particular share or stock. Let's see, so what else do we have? Another thing that I also want to point out is that as much as we have this pattern over here, which is a head and shoulders pattern, price or the market had also given us this double top over here, which also has a neckline at that point, right? So again, we may see price move further up to the neckline to give it a test, which is over here, and at this point we may see price continue to move further down, right? So going back to what I said earlier, right now, in my very humble opinion, I believe it is not a good idea to consider buying this particular stock, right? And the last reason that I want to mention is that, remember guys, we have this, right? And whenever we have these W structures or double bottoms, what normally happens is that a lot of traders and investors actually buy on that second leg of that W structure or double bottom, and they place their stop losses just below, right? So we have a lot of money stuck here in the form of stop losses, and chances are we're going to see price or the market move that down to trigger all of those stop losses, because those stop losses represent liquidity, and that liquidity is money, and that money needs to be triggered by the market at one point or another, right? So Myself personally, I'd rather wait for price to actually move further down to around this area, and at this area is where I would consider looking for potential buy opportunities. And if I do indeed find any good buy opportunities at this point, my first take profit would be around here somewhere, and that is because this level is a very strong level of resistance, as well as the neckline of this M structure that we spoke about, right? So at this point again, we may see the market move further down, right? So you just need to be careful, right? And yeah, that's it as far as my analysis goes, and I hope it makes sense.